Okay, so I think this is gonna be the last part for integral science for now. I don't know. Anyway, um, so I guess in this one I'm just gonna talk about some of the integral theories you got out there. Um, I don't have older books. I mostly have Wilbur's books, but there's also what's that guy's name again? Well, I guess there aren't too many major integral theorists out there. I mean, it's sort of new, but there are indirect integral theorists, and by this I mean there are people who generally agree with what Wilbur's saying about emergence and greater complexity over time, such as Ray Kurzweil, but they're using it in their specific fields. And you know what? I'm going to show you this book. This book, The Age of the Spiritual Machines, by Ray Kurzweil. And it's pretty cool. It's a very interesting book. Say what you want about Ray Kurzweil's ideas, but he's got the right idea about evolution being exponential. It doubles itself over time, it has a general direction, it's not linear because it's made up of seemingly chaotic and random patterns, yet they lead to the same direction. Um, and I guess he's got a little insect down there, and then some more complex life, and then simplistically speaking, he's in three stages. It's obviously not that simple, but generally speaking, life has a direction, and this is a strange. Um, it's a strange. We don't know why life becomes more. Well, we do know why life becomes more complex over time. You put a couple elements together, a couple of ingredients, they have synergistic quality that creates something new. If sodium chloride, individually, sodium and chloride are not so great, but sodium chloride is great. Um, it's salt. So, and water, H2O, and like you can just keep going on about this. Um, but things have a sort of multiplicative reality to them. They sort of become more complex when you put two different variables together. So life over time has just been sort of doing this and eating off of this entropic, chaotic universe and using it to evolve and become more complex. Why? Because, I don't know, it's some kind of strange evolutionary impulse to become more complex over time. We at least have that. So this isn't just a grand theory of everything or everything set in stone. We just kind of know these general tendencies that all life is following, and including human life. We're not actually totally in control of our. Well, this doesn't go into free will and determinism, but we're not totally in control of our uh, impulses. It seems random and complex and really to have no direction. And but at the same time, we are still following some evolutionary principles, the impulse to become more complex. Societies overall have become more complex over time. When they haven't, they've either been conquered by other societies or they've been they've evolved in other ways. It's not that a society will become more complex over time, but human race as a whole, civilization as a whole, for the most part, has become. Why? Is it because some kind of ideal? Is that it? Is this just an ideal that's driven us? Or is this some kind of weird evolutionary impulse? I mean, I'm sure it's arguable still, but my belief is that there's enough evidence to um, theorize that there is a general underlying theme for all things, um, and cultures, and we have some kind of general human tendencies that we're all following and going towards, and we're evolving. Societies evolve, culture evolves, civilization as a whole evolves, and Kurzweil is a great example for you to sort of get a great idea of where we're going. Um, Completely, I'm sure there's opposing views. There are opposing views. Here's another guy. Probably much not very well known. His name is Manuel de Landa. He wrote this book, 10,000 Years of Nonlinear History. I know of him only through my sociology professor because she used to know this person. And he's very interesting. He is following the philosophical tradition of this guy, Deleuze. Um, Interesting guy. He sees everything is nonlinear, but he doesn't necessarily see that there's no direction. Delanda sees us going towards a network society. A society is evolving to a higher form of complexity, where we no longer need simplistic, again, almost what's it called, modernistic ways to organize society. Instead, we're heading towards a complex, decentralized system of neural networks, basically. We're decentralizing our own governance structures and our economies, and it's very true. Let's see if I have another book here. Here we go. And again, this is somebody else. If you see these people from an integral perspective, if you see them as seeing how we're becoming more complex, this general tendency for all human beings, then you'll see how they kind of fit in. Not that they are integral theorists per se, but they have integral ideas. They're kind of following what integral theory is saying. This is Here Comes Everybody by Shirky. It's basically talking about how we're evolving. What is the next stage of how we organize our society? And that's the network, decentralized, collaborative societies versus the older institutional hierarchies. Basically, we're empowering people now instead of empowering governments to control us. We need, in order for a greater for a bigger society, you need some form of organization because it becomes very complex. We simplify it by using bureaucracy and hierarchy to just kind of give orders and commands and have us fit into systems, but the systems are not built for us. We sort of built the systems to control us. They don't really organically work with human nature, but new technologies like the internet are allowing human nature to come out more. So if you see this as sort of like a stepping stone in integral, you can sort of see how this has everything to do with integral theory. This is, consider integral theory a map. It's a metaphysical map of where we're going. It's somewhat direct, but it has its own language. And specifically, I'm talking about Ken Wilber's work. It's great. It really maps everything out. But because it does that, I mean, he hasn't gotten to the point where he can really reconcile complexity and relativism and general theories. And he uses a lot of terminology that isn't universal, so to speak. He's invented it, and it's good. He's a philosopher. I mean, give him a break. But you need that sort of stuff. You need the colloquial language. If Ken Wilber's right, if we are going in this general direction towards complexity, and if Ray Kurzweil is right, then you're gonna need to see how it's specifically happening in your society. Is it? Where's the evidence? Well, the evidence is right here in Clay Shirky's book. It's also happening in, I don't know if I have it here. I don't have it with me right now, but basically we're heading towards an internet society, a more virtualized age, which is great. And it correlates with reality, and we are becoming more complex. People are finding better ways to network and integrate. The information age isn't just random chaotic now. We're trying to sort of structure the way we learn and enhance knowledge and make it reflect human life and human ways of thinking. So this is sort of the next step. And this brings me to spiral dynamics, actually. And I guess I'll make another video. But I don't think I have a picture of that one for you. Spiral dynamics is an 8-stage map of the general development of human societies, and it goes through stages called memes, which aren't necessarily gross reductionist views of an entire society, but it's just a general tendency society has at a specific time. A worldview, and it has 8 major worldviews specifically. They're general, and it's very complex, so you kind of have to see it as a spectrum. It doesn't always work, but it's interesting to learn anyway. And one of the interesting things, again, the theme of complexity, each stage becomes more complex than the former. The beginning stages such as beige, which is bare instinct. The next stage, red, purple, which is the emergence of more complex thought and imagination. Early tribal societies had this. They still exist and they still have it because it's an evolutionary. Through evolution, it works, and it's successful. So some tribes decided not to move on. I mean, there's perfectly good reasons for that. And I guess in the next video, I'll continue with spiral dynamics. If you'd like to learn, then keep watching. Okay.